the reason why I wanted to bring on an Ironman is because, what does, this kind of stuff on all that physical task have to do with building a business? Well, I believe that life and building a business is all about the mindset. It's all about controlling your thoughts. It's all about setting goals. It's all about self-discipline. It's all about self-accountability, right? It's the mentality like, no one's coming to do this for me. It's on me. And to win in life, whether it's a business or a marriage or whatever you want to call it, an Ironman, you have to have the mindset. You got to have the tools in the toolbox up here in order to accomplish those great things. So I wanted to bring someone from outside the industry to share that level of intensity. So Wes, man, if you want to turn on your camera, if you want to unmute yourself, let me introduce you to Wes here. Wes, I appreciate you coming on here. I know that you're a busy guy. I tried to keep my list short, but I know there's so much good stuff that we're going to be able to get from you. So
I'm excited to hear the questions.
Yeah, man. So Wes is taking the time, he's got a family and his own life going on. So I really, really appreciate it. And for those of you that are on here, I hope you have a notepad and pen, take some notes, but let's just jump into this, man, not waste too much time, Wes. There's something different about people that take on really hard tasks, right? Like to be the kind of person that wants to go do 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and follow that up with a marathon. To some people that sounds like hell, but to somebody like you, what is it that you're actually like chasing? What do you think it is about that personality type or about you that you're actually chasing when you're signing up for something that's so difficult? Because that's not normal, right? It's not a normal thing.
I think it's kind of the ultimate self-expression. There's something about it that you just know, like, it's one of the hardest things to do. And when you do it, when you go through that process of changing your body, you really don't realize at the time that you're changing your mind too. You go through this process and you go through it kind of willingly at first, and you do get to a point where you're like, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? And if you're not doing it for yourself, like you're like, oh, I'll do this for my family, or I'm raising money or something, that may not work for you. That may end up causing it to be like, well, maybe this isn't right for me. But when you're doing it for yourself, it's that mindset where it just changes. Things change and your body changes and your mind ends up changing. And when you do it, when you do it in a way that suits yourself, because there's many different ways to train for an Ironman. But when you do it that suits yourself, it works for you, and you just start to build every day, and you can feel things building inside of your mind, inside of your body, and you just end up accomplishing and you overcome. And whatever it is, because when you go through training, inevitably you're going to have problems. You're going to have knee problems or hip problems or time problems. Time management becomes a huge issue. You're going to have issues. But things change in your mind. You just figure out ways to solve the problem,
right?
Because you're doing this for yourself. It's self growth.
Yeah. And so when you finish that first Ironman, obviously, the amount of work and things, we won't even get it. We could run a 2-hour webinar just on the training and what you go through, but to do more than one, right? Because a lot of people could sign up for something and they can suffer through one Ironman.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, be like, man, I'm glad I got that on my resume, but F that, I'm never doing it again. Yeah. But there's some people that do more than one and they go back for more. And so what do you think it is beyond just that transformation? Because you did that on the first one. Yeah. So, and I bring this question up because we all go through things. And I think the ultimate test on if you are a pro at something is, yeah, you can do it once, but can you do it again? And, building a business, a lot of people on here have ran businesses and maybe they failed or maybe they were successful, then things change and they have to go back and start another one again. So what would you say about, like, what are you chasing? What is it that gets you to do it again that you're chasing? Because you've already accomplished something the first one, you got nothing left to prove. What do you think that second one is really about?
Yeah, it's hard. I think that when people look at the accomplishment afterwards, because you're you're going to be tired. You're going to be torn up. You know, your body needs time to recover. It's really difficult to kind of look back at in that moment and go, wow, I want to go through that process again. You know, it's a long road. It's a 6-month journey for even people who are already athletic. And for
Right.
people who aren't, it can be a 1-year journey, a transformation over a year. And there's so many people that do it just to finish. But I found that, you know, when I completed Ironman Canada, which was absolutely phenomenal, it's crazy. I lost almost 10
British
pounds.
Columbia. Sorry to cut you off. Where that was British Columbia.
Yeah, back then it was Penticton.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
it's in Whistler in
Okay.
Vancouver, outside of Vancouver. But I lost 10 pounds during the race. Like, it was pretty crazy. You know, it was a hard race. And you think to yourself, like, do I really want to put my body and my mind through this? My body struggled, but I got through it. And my mind was so much more resilient, stronger, and more willing to kind of see tomorrow. You know, you just envision tomorrow. Like, how am I going to be better tomorrow? And that's the kind of thing that like pulls me through.
Right.
And I don't feel like I'm the one sometimes at the wheel. You know, you can think to yourself like I'm the driver of my own car, but sometimes it's just like your will just kind of pulls you forward. Your body and your mind are either going to enjoy the challenge or not enjoy the challenge. And when you enjoy challenges, it's that mindset that just kind of pulls you forward into another one and into another one. And if it's continually making your body healthier and your mind more focused, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's where I think that, you know, when you sign up for that second one, you kind of close your eyes and you're just like, oh boy, should I really hit that button? But it's not necessarily
Signing up is one thing. Like, yeah, you do it again, but once you start training again, then it's like, oh shit, what did I do?
As soon as I hit that button, and I've signed up for so many races, I can't even tell you. I've got almost all of my race numbers in the garage. Actually, I think they're right there. They're all medals and whatnot. But, you know, when I hit that button, I'm committed.
Yeah.
The commitment is set in stone. And unless I get hurt, you know, because I've gotten hurt. I pulled my calf muscle one year and I just had to, you know, not start. And that was really hard.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, as soon as I hit that button, man, I am like ready to go. I may not have a complete plan.
Yeah.
I may understand all of the milestones, you know, because every race is different. You need to peak in different places. There's a lot of detail there, but I'm in it to win it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to compete and I'm going to try to do the best that I can, because like, why the hell am I doing this if I'm not trying to be the best, you know, version of myself that I can possibly be?
Yeah, I'm not doing all this to not cross the finish line, like not optional, end of story. So
I will finish. I will cross the finish line at all costs if I start that race.
Yeah. If I'm going to put in this work, which you know what it is. And again, most of the people on here, everyone on here is building a business. And there is, you know, for us, there's not really a finish line, but for most people, I would say the benchmark is that, you know, get my residuals above my bills, right? That expense. So for those of you that are on here, you know, you have a line, and it's that right there. It's that financial freedom. Like, why are you going to get into this? And you know, it's going to be hard. Like, it's not going to be easy to go out there and get rejected. It's not going to be easy. It's raining outside. Who cares? You got to go to work. You got to train. You got to, you know, you're training for something, and there's a finish line that at all costs, you know, you want to have that mentality. Like, I hit the enter button. I jumped on board. I know what I've got to do. Let's do this. Failure is not an option. I'm going to finish. So I want to share a quick story. I'm going to try to tell it so it makes sense to everybody. But one night, me and you were having dinner, and we were kind of talking about this stuff, and like the mentality and the self-responsibility and self-accountability at like this really, really high level. And I was talking about, you know, I think I asked you, like, so when you're training, does your brain work like this? Because I'll be getting ready for an ultra Spartan race, and I now have to text myself how many sets I've done. And the reason why I now text, you probably remember this, the reason why I now text myself what set I'm on all right, 21, 22, 23, is because let's say I set a goal, and you probably, I know you do this because I asked you, I want everyone else to hear it. Let's say I set a goal, like, all right, I'm doing this really hard set, but I'm going to do like 30 of them. I'm not stopping until I hit 30. And I started texting myself, and I asked you if you do this too, because if I get to the end and I can't remember, I'm like, crap, was that set 30 or was that set 28? And I asked you, if you're in that scenario, do you stop thinking it might have been 30, or do you punish yourself and do two more because you're not sure? And I know the answer. Tell that story and talk about like just that level of self-responsibility and accountability when no one in the world is watching you and no one would know that you may have shorted yourself too, and you hold yourself to a standard that maybe you do two extra and it's your fault because you lost track.
Yeah. Can I tell a quick story?
Yes, please.
My daughter and I were playing Uno, and she had this interesting idea to where when you draw the one Uno card that's blank, that's a wild card, she's like, let's do 10 push-ups if you get that card. I'm like, okay, she's a gymnast. So I'm like, fine. And so I draw the card, I do my push-ups, and then she's like, maybe we should do more than 10. And I was like, well, let's do 10 more every time we draw the card, thinking we're not going to have a long game. Well, anyway, we got to 40, and she had done 20 at one time and struggled. And then she drew the card again right after 20 and had to do 30. This time she got down below the table, and I couldn't see her and I couldn't hear her counting or anything. But little did she know, I could see her in the reflection of the glass of the china cabinet, and she did them all. And this is the thing that she didn't even know if I was watching, but she did every single, I was so proud of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So talk about that, because again, we're talking with a bunch of entrepreneurs who they're 1099. No one's watching them. They can come home early. They can cut themselves short. They can lie to themselves and say they went all out, even though they really didn't, and maybe they did, right? That maybe they are holding themselves. But just let's talk about that level of, let's keep it on Ironman because that's what you're here for. What is that level of self accountability and self responsibility, and when nobody's looking?
Yeah.
What?
Did I cut you off?
No. Then okay. No. Go ahead.
We had I was training in Austin, and we had this thing called the taco ride, and every Saturday morning we get together, and it's like, hold on as long as you can because they're going to drop you. It was 3 of the top 10 triathletes in the world that attended that ride every week, and I did that without fail every single Saturday, rain or shine, whatever the hell was going on in my life, I was there. Everything was perfect with my bike. I had already done my swim in the morning, and then I was going to do my run afterwards, and I had everything set. And that's the mindset. It's just, you show up. You have to show up, and it's not just mentally or physically. You have to prepare. It's not just showing up and like, oh, I got to wait. They don't wait. There's no waiting, right? They take off. I don't want to swear, but they're gone. So if you're not with them, it's over. Like, you've missed it. And I just didn't miss it. It was a religion for me.
I love that. You got to show up, and the people that you should be training with, the people that are, if you want to be at that level, they're not waiting. They're not waiting. It's moving, and you can miss the train. If you're not there, you're too late. Too bad. So sad. Nobody cares. I love that story. So that's kind of the level of hard work and all that stuff and preparation it takes. So let's talk about how there's like different phases, right? Because you're not always in Ironman mode. You're not always training. So I kind of put three modes here, but I'm just curious for you, like, obviously you can't maintain that level of activity nonstop like your whole life. You agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, totally. Like when I worked for Microsoft, I rode my bike every day for nearly a decade to work, and I rode through all kinds of weather, as you can imagine, in Seattle. So it was pretty unreal. But like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, and every morning I would do it, and people just kind of got used to the wacko that was riding in and showering every morning, and then riding home sometimes. in the dead of darkness, both times. You know,
Yeah.
when I'm riding through forests on trails, I rode my mountain bike. So it's it's pretty unreal. And that's like my base. That was my base. And then you get into like I think there's three modes. There's base, there's tempo, and there's peak. And your base is just like what you can do every day, like every day, just and every day, like it's like, I can maybe do just a little bit more every day, and this isn't like a 5 day a week thing or a six, it's every day. What could I do every day that just makes my body and my mind better?
Right.
And then you get into like this tempo mode. I don't know if anybody is familiar with this term, but what it means to me is you can keep this up, but only for a period of time, like an hour or 2 hours or some amount of short time. And that when you tempo train, that's where it's like you're going, for everybody else in the world, you're going faster than everybody else, but you can't keep it up forever. But you can do this for a period of time every day. And I would get into this mode at work every day where my job was, I was going around talking to people and trying to get things done. And I could keep this up like nobody's business. And then there's this phase where you're like peaking. And peaking is something where you're constantly building up this tempo. And it's over a period of days or weeks or sometimes even months, but usually it's days or weeks, to where you clearly can feel that things are just building. You can kind of do a little bit more for a shorter period of time, then a little bit more for a longer period of time, and then for a tiny bit of time you can do something crazy. And it's this kind of mentality that allows you to train for something that's extremely hard.
Yeah. That's amazing. I came up with 3 totally different terms as I was writing these. I didn't want to throw mine out there. Mine are totally different names, but the same. That's incredible. I put, full training mode, which is for you is peak. Recovery mode is, what I put in there. It's going to be base for you. And then the maintaining mode. That's incredible. There's 3 different stages and all are extremely important in life, right? Like you're specifically here to talk about Ironman, but again, going back to building businesses, it's not always all out, like more. We got to like more. There's once you build a business, you reach different phases, and I'm going to finish off kind of talking about this. But this is just everything in life, man. There's a book called Peaks and Valleys, right? You're on some peaks, you're on a valley. You're on a peak, you're on a valley, right? The idea is you want to, kind of be mellow and obviously going upwards in life. But in all reality, you kind of go through this cycle, and they can be, what did you say? Base, tempo, peak, base, tempo, peak. And it can be all sorts of different things. Which one, just out of curiosity, which one are you living in right now?
Oh, I'm definitely living in base, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Base is a good spot. It's a healthy spot. If all you're doing is sitting in base, you're in a healthy place, because you're talking about consistent daily actions. This is the compound effect stage is what it is. It's the compound effect. It's where you're doing the small actions on a daily basis, which long-term equal very healthy and success, yeah. Right?
I'm trying to keep my body healthy. I do a mix of cardio and weights every day. It's super important to me. And if I don't, I get agitated and I'm out of balance. I need the base. Yeah.
So let's kind of go past just the physical stuff, right? Because not everyone that's on this is one interested in that. We got a lot of people on here that physically aren't capable of pushing at that level, right? So let's go beyond just the physical, Ironman and the feeling good, the mindset and all of that stuff. So I just wrote it down here. So do you believe, regardless of the stage that you're in, that operating from a level of a healthy mind and body will transfer over and make you more successful in all categories of life?
Yeah, totally. I think it's necessary. Yeah.
So normally when I do these calls, I start with, what someone's background is, but let's kind of move over. Everyone knows you're an Ironman. Obviously you got the mind power and stuff. Let's talk about having a healthy mind, down even to the diet and the physical, fueling yourself correctly. What's your background? Like, what do you do for work? What have you done for work? And how has just taking care of yourself, not just the physical side, but making sure you're operating at a high level, how has that contributed to your work life, and what's, whatever you want to tell about where you're at in life, and how, fueling yourself correctly is equally, if not more important in terms of operating at 110%.
Yeah, true. And currently, like when I'm in like this base mode, which I think I'm at, I wouldn't say that I'm operating at 110, but I do know that I'm ready. I'm ready if something were to come my way. I could easily go into like, this build and peak mode, the tempo and peak. But I've done a lot of work in my life. It's all been technical, so it's not been really physical, unless you go back to like, college and, doing construction and project managing, large projects like the ABIA, the Austin Bergstrom International Airport, building things there and managing teams. But I ended up taking that mentality, of when I show up, I'm ready to go. I leave all my baggage behind, whatever was bothering me. Like, I'm focused on the task at hand. Like, things need to get done. And if you're not in that mentality in the construction industry, people will walk all over you. If they don't think you're the alpha, it ain't going to go well for you. And so I learned that like really early on, is that you need to be a leader, and it starts with you. Like, you need to lead yourself. And if you don't think you're the leader of your own person, like, like I was saying earlier before, sometimes you're behind the wheel, and you can really feel it and you can be leading. And other times your will just kind of takes over, because everything else kind of like falls by the wayside and your will just kind of pulls you in.
Yeah.
And my role was extremely like mentally intensive, very complex, lots of math, lots of science, lots of tech. And my physical body was not as important. I was working with a lot of people who that wasn't very important, but my mind was solid, because I felt like I gave my body the things that it needed to fully function as well as it could, at least my mind. And that was hugely important for me.
Yeah, and I really wanted to bring that up because, again, as inspiring as, Iron Man and all the physical and just hearing about the distance, it's like, wow, a lot of people on here, you don't have to do all that physical stuff to be operating and accomplishing the things that you need to accomplish in your business and work. And when you walk in a room, being vibrant and, complex situations, having your mind working. When it comes to that side of, just life in general, specifically professionally, what do you think is more important to be operating at that level mentally? Is it your intake, what you're fueling with, or is it your physical activity? If you had to pick one that's going to just clear-minded, focus, energy, all of that things, which one is it that the average person that's not going to run an Ironman can apply in their life to be at 100%? Is it the physical, or is it the fuel intake? And,
it's the intake. It's definitely the intake. And I think, from all of the people that I've known and talked to about, either training or just getting a better physical sense, is that deep down, when you put something in your body, if it's doing a good or a bad. You just know it. And if you don't know it, you're just not listening close enough. But at some point it'd be like, is this whatever I'm drinking or eating first thing in the morning, is it good or is it bad? And it falls into one or the other category. It's not on the border. It is one or the other, and it's like, then you're like, well, if it's bad, and being honest with yourself, is it a treat or is it a necessity?
Or is it a habit?
Great. Treat yourself. That's fine. We all love to do it, but treat yourself when it's a treat, when you've accomplished something, when you've created something where you're just like, hey, like, I'd love to be this, like, and then I'm going to treat myself, when I accomplish this. That's great. It's a reward system. And I'm all about that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge just for everybody to feel like, no matter who you are on this call, what we're promoting, as a company, all of December and on this call is, really elevating in your life. Like, we're not on this call saying you have to do Iron Man crazy physical stuff to be operating at that level. There's so much more, and anybody can control the intake of what's going in. right? That includes the food, that includes the drink, that includes the information, the knowledge, the books you're reading, the YouTube channels you're watching, the channels on TV, Netflix. What are you intaking? And is it good for you or is it bad for you? I like that. There's no middle. And we all have gut instinct. We all have an intuition. We know what it is, whether we lie to ourselves or not. And, going back to that self-responsibility, we know what we've got to do and to be operating at that level. And that's something that everybody on this call can do. I don't care what your physical situation is. You want to get your mind right. You're going out there and we're battling the world. We got business owners rejecting us. We got cool business owners. We got rude business owners. The weather isn't always what we want. There's a whole lot of mental stresses and things in our world. Right. Same thing for Wes. He goes into Microsoft. He's responsible for 10 people. This guy didn't do his job. He's got to do this. He's doing math. He's got a whole lot of things going on. He's got to be firing on all cylinders, folks. We need to be firing on all cylinders. If you want to live a great life, it's not just about money. It's not just about looking good. It's more important up here to be feeling good. And it's going to trickle into your business. In Wes's case, I'm sure it contributed to a lot of the high ranking positions that he had as he moved up the ladder everywhere that he went. Just because I kind of know your story, right? It wasn't the physical stuff. It was him having the mind right and showing up at 110% and having that edge over everyone else. And most importantly, having an edge on yourself, right? Because that's who we're really battling at the end of the day. It's ourself. So two more questions here. I wanted to keep this about 30 minutes. We're doing really, really well. Two last questions. So have you ever wanted to quit in the middle of the training, in the middle of the race?
Oh, yeah.
How do you keep going when things just get shit hard? Like, why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. How do you keep going?
It's a soul thing. There's been so many races where I've been racing in the rain. It's just freezing cold. And all you want to do is not have all this spray in your face from the bike in front of you. Or just thinking like, wow, every step that I take, I may twist my ankle, or, somebody's going to hit me while I'm swimming and knock me out and I may drown. You got all this self-doubt, you got all this doubt. And it's just like, did I do the training? Did I not do the training? And it's like, yeah, I did the training. I showed up. I'm here. I'm doing this, and I've quit twice. I quit twice in 2 bike races. Once because I couldn't feel my hands; they froze, and I couldn't brake anymore, and I couldn't steer, and I had to DNS or DNF, and it was horrible. And another time I got sick, and that was another really bad. But I knew when my body was like, I've had enough. I had to listen to my body, and it's just like, I'm not well. And you need to take care of me, and now's the time, and it needs to happen now.
Now that was 2 DNFs out of all the ones you finished. You still hit walls. How do you push through that? What are you thinking about? Are you visualizing, or what are you thinking about that gets you all the way through?
It's just the one part of me is that I'm extremely competitive. And I always want to be there for myself. I'm doing it for me, I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm doing it for me. And when I'm riding with a team, which I have, I've raced with a team, a bike team, for many years. I did it for me because when I'm done, I want them to look at me and feel good about racing with me, So I'm doing it for myself, but I'm there to support the team. And when I work with a team, I give it all. And if I leave anything on the table, I fully expect them to slap me when I'm done. It's just like, what the hell were you thinking, man? I could tell that you weren't giving it your all. I've never want anybody ever to say that to me, ever.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then last question here, man. It's the last question that we ask on all of our testimonial calls. You can relate it to anything that you want, but if you could give a bit of advice, right? You got a bunch of people on here. They're showing up on a Thursday night, 9:00 Eastern time. Obviously, they're here for a reason. Only a certain type of person does that. 31 minutes. Some of them are football fans. There's a football game on, but they're right here with us. They're a special breed. So if you could give one bit of advice to somebody that's just looking to level up in their life and become successful, whatever success means and whatever, realm you want to put that in, what's that one bit of advice of getting to that next level and becoming successful?
Every time you get hit, because you will get hit, somebody will hit you and will stop you from moving forward. And every time that happens, it's a lesson that you will learn. You get back up and you try again, but you will get hit, and you might not be ready for it. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck, and things aren't always going to be all the unicorns and rainbows. Is what I tell my daughter. It's just not going to be like that. Things are going to hurt, and you have to be able to learn from that. It's going to, obviously you're going to have pain, right? You're going to have emotion. You're just going to want to let it out, let all of that emotion out, do it, but then learn from it. And you always will come back a different person. You may not be stronger the next time you get hit, but you will have learned, and you will remember what that was. And things will just be different. It'll just happen. Your mind and your body will work together to make things better. It'll just happen.
I love that. Kind of reminds me of, life is hard, right? Like being poor is hard, getting rich is hard. Like this is hard, that's hard. Pick your heart, right? Yeah. The people that try to avoid pain normally end up in the most of it, right? So, just do your best when you have it. It's part of it. You're not trying to avoid it. It's just part of the equation of, growing and becoming successful. And whether you go for it or you try to avoid it, it's going to happen either way. Love it. Wes, man, I really appreciate your time. I've got some great nuggets here. I'm going to kind of cap off this call, but I appreciate you being here, man. I'll shut off your camera, your microphone. Right. Much appreciated, man. Peace to you too, brother. Appreciate it. I mean, to get on and really get inside the mind of somebody that's done such difficult task and Ironmans, is just so much good information in there. There's so much more to Wes's story. We didn't necessarily, go over everything that he's done, but I'm honored that he took the time to be on it. As a huge favor to me. And I hope that you guys got a lot out of that. And I want to wrap this call up with a couple of things. One of the things he said at the beginning, and this is part of, when you're building your business and knowing your why and having your goals, he's talking about when you're in that pain and when you're in that training, he envisions tomorrow, right? He envisions tomorrow. He's not only thinking about like what sucks right now, he's envisioning tomorrow. To me, that meant like, right now I'm in the Ironman. Tomorrow I'm going to have an Ironman chain over my neck, right? Today you're building your business. It's really hard. You're getting rejection. You got all this. Envisioning tomorrow might be 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road. Like, yeah, I'm not financially where I want to be. Some people are just flat out broke. This is hard. I'm not getting as many sales as I want. But in 2 years, my life's going to be completely different, right? That's that envisioning tomorrow. It's having the ability to visualize and not just get stuck in where you're at now, but being able to put yourself where you plan on being, knowing that if you put in the work, that's where you're going to end up with blind faith, right? So that's why the power of why and having goals is what you need, because you're going to reach a point where you want to quit. You got to be able to envision tomorrow. You got to be able to visualize the outcome before you have it. That's how you get the outcome. Okay. The other thing was, in December, we're really talking about, come January, people start wanting to change. They're going to change habits. And I'm going to start focusing on, I'm going to implement these action plans. And the reason why people do these things is because they're trying to become a greater version of themselves. They may not say that. They may not write that on their goals. They may not say, my goal for 2023 is I'm going to become a greater version of myself. But when you write goals, the average person for New Year's, and your goals have to do with, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym more frequently, or 5 days a week. I'm going to run my first Spartan race. I'm going to work on my relationships. In 2023, I'm going to be financially free by next Christmas, right? You write down all these goals that have to do with becoming a better person, right? So what I've been talking about all of December is don't wait until January to go leaps and bounds ahead. And don't wait till January to start. You can do all that stuff right now. Before this call is over, if you have a goal in January 1st that you're going to just start doing fitness, fuck January 1st. After this call, do 100 push-ups. Start now. Like, the decision is instant. You just need to commit to it. And get ahead in your life. And that's the other thing that I want to talk about. And this is how I'm going to end this call. It's, it's a very competitive world. We're all competing. We're competing with different companies. You're competing with somebody that's out in your territory. But I want to talk about, how you catch up. And the way that you catch up, because it's very hard. Anyone that's like a professional athlete or, been in sports knows that it's very hard if you're behind the person in first place and you're competing with them. If they're running at full speed, it is very hard to catch up to that person, even if you're at full speed. Okay, they're ahead of you. So one of the best ways to get ahead when you're competing is to go harder when they slow down. Okay, and that's right now. That's December. And I'm talking about competing with companies. I'm talking about competing with other people in your territory. Yes, that's true. But what I'm ultimately referring to is competing with yourself. Okay, there's an old version of yourself. As of January 1st, you think it's going to be the old version of yourself. Make it the old version of yourself today and start competing with and beating the old version of yourself. Because right now, he wants or she wants to slow down. Everyone's overeating and, not worrying about their fitness in December. So that's what I'm going to do. No, beat that, pass that. You can gain on that and come January 1st, be ahead. Oh, business is slow in December. Oh, business owners aren't there. They're too busy. They don't want to talk. Guys, we've got deals flooding in today with people that aren't buying or this week that aren't buying into that. December is a great month to be out there. Pass the old version of yourself. Get that crap out of your mind and make some gains on the old version of yourself. And come January 1st, you already have caught up and passed the old version. And you can take the same with everything. Oh, everybody wastes money and spends money that they don't have in December and they deal with it later. Don't do that crap. Like, take care of yourself now and come January 1st, put yourself in a great position. And folks, I really, really appreciate you being here on this Easy Pay testimonial call. Easy Pay, we're doing things totally different. Okay. We are a merchant sales company. We do the cash discount company. I can show you how to sell merchant accounts. We have the best support in the industry. If you're out there trying to figure out how to do merchant services, we can help you. Okay. We're not looking for sales reps. We're looking for business partners. We're looking for people that want to become better people, that want to elevate in their life, that want to work on this up here and surround themselves with winners that are going to encourage them to become the best version of their self. Yes, we're all about making money. I'm obsessed with residual income. I am motivated by money, and you need to be too if you're going to come to Easy Pay if you're not already. But if you are not with a group of people that wants to go beyond just the money and actually change your life and live a phenomenal life, then I invite you to come check Easy Pay out. Okay. You can find it on all my links on YouTube. You can go straight to easydirectsales.com. Fill that out. It'll take you right to the schedule. I'd love to do a one-on-one call with you. If you're looking for a home that you can build a business with and be treated like a business partner, not a sales rep, we are going to challenge you. We are going to invite you to do things that maybe you weren't invited to do in the past. You don't have to do things with us like the fitness challenges. You don't have to come climb mountains with us. You don't have to do Spartan races. But if you want to put yourself in a position where, you become who you associate with, and that those kind of activities and that kind of mindset and those kind of people can help you elevate in all categories of your life, that's what we're looking for. And we are excited with what we're doing here at Easy Pay. And we want to invite other people that can click with what I just said. So folks, thank you for your time. We're about 40 minutes here. I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a great night. Next Thursday, we will have another phenomenal special guest all December long. Mark your calendar for next Thursday, 9 p.m. Have a great night, guys. Joe Wagner here, and we will see you at the top. Thanks for plugging in.